little interesting location this morning, everybody. We are in the back seat of, I guess, the White Little Podcast Mobile, on our way to Pearson International, dropping off the man beside me who absolutely destroyed Moskito last night with a phenomenal set. UK legend, Mr. Danny Howells.
Ta-da! A nice little surprise for me as well, waking up, going to the airport, and then, you know,
we have
interview.
In the car, yeah. Well, it was so busy last night, and just so much energy going around. We didn't have time to actually sit down. I'm like, you know what? It might be a cool look to just get you in the car on the way back to the airport. We have your set.
See what I look like in the morning with no makeup on.
Yeah,
it's not good.
Well, here's the first question: where did that come from? Like the eyeliner and the whole eyeshadow thing.
Oh, it was literally about probably about a 3-month period.
Okay.
Where I was like putting on a bit of eyeliner, and I was just like, going a bit crazy. But I think it kind of sticks with you forever.
Yeah.
People sort of remember you for one thing you did, like in a very, very short period of your life. Obviously, press shots as well. I love, even now, if I do press shots, I think, I don't want to do anything really boring. I want to really go out there and do it properly. So, but as far as day-to-day walking down the street or turning up at clubs goes, it's not really a thing I do anymore.
It was just something that I guess someone must have took a picture of you and it's stuck online. And
no, my old shots, press shots, I love caking it on. And to be honest with you, if I was more of a confident guy, I'd love getting a bit more dolled up at clubs, but I'm not as confident as I used to be, so I sort of tend to just be a bit more conservative in my appearance.
How did this all start for you, brother? Going back, I guess, some 20-some years, your DJ career. How did this all come about from a musical perspective? How'd you get into house?
Well, I was into all sorts. I was into electronic music. I think I was buying music. I had a record collection when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. My family were all heavily into music, and they would give me all their unwanted records that they didn't want anymore. So when I was 4 or 5, I had a great collection of records by Bowie, nice. Queen, Motown, things like that. Yeah. As well as all the sort of contemporary pop music, things like David Cassidy and really Osmonds and stuff. And then when I got to my teenage years, when I was during the 80s, I got really fascinated by the fact that sort of 12-inch culture started to sort of emerge, and the whole concept of the remix. So you'd have a relatively sort of poppy kind of track. But there's been this variation. There's variations on there, different mixes, dub mixes, and that was that was across the board through pop, hip hop, even the sort of rock things that they were getting into remixes. And that really kind of got me into that area of elongating, standard song
for sure.
And then I think when sort of rave, acid house kind of hit, I was living in Hastings, and didn't have any money because I was I just started work and I was working at Tesco, a supermarket or something like that. I had no spare cash, so really the only sort of exposure I could get was what was being brought to us. And luckily at that time, Digweed was throwing a lot of parties on Hastings Pier and in other venues where he was bringing down pretty much everyone who was anyone at that time, from Orbital to Fabio and Groove Rider to LTJ Bookham, or just pretty much everybody that was making a noise in electronic music. And so that was my kind of exposure, and I was buying records at that time as well, and it was literally a matter of time before I got a pair of decks and started doing the mixtapes. Mm-hmm. And one of them made his way to John, and next thing I got a residency with him. So
yeah, that was a 9-year residency where you opened for him.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was kind of it started off in beginning of '92, mm-hmm. And I still play for him now. Actually, twice this year, I think. So yeah, it was definitely the right place, right time kind of scenario.
Sure. How did that residency opening for John all those years shape your career, from a fundamental standpoint?
Very much so, actually. Just taught me the most important things about what is, for me, the most important part of the night. Because originally, when I was booked opening for John, it was kind of this is what I want to do, because it's not really my style of music. I'm having to play sort of much houseier and slower than I wanted to at that time, because at that particular time my thing was kind of more Italian house and the Belgian hardcore kind of sound, and mm-hmm. So I was kind of delving into an area which wasn't really sort of my forte, so to speak. But really, honestly, once I'd done it a couple of times, then sort of started to explore that music a lot more and find my own sort of style in that area. It became for me like one of my favourite parts of the night. So what I learned from doing those warm-ups to John is really, you know, something that I still, you know, obviously hold on to this day.
Yeah.
And that's why I do occasionally, like tonight, play from open till close, because I still buy so much music which is really only suitable for warm-up, and I want a chance to play it. So yeah, I got a lot from it, definitely.
Cool. I think you're one of the guys, you're one of the pioneers from back in the day who, you're known for some marathon sets as well in your time, and you and guys like Tenaglia and whatnot are known to play for, you know, 10, 12 hours at a time. Do you think that the marathon set's sort of a dying breed? Like, a lot of DJs don't really do that nowadays, other than like the original few?
I think it is actually, yeah, to be honest with you. I mean, for a number of reasons. I mean, for me personally, when I was doing it regularly, I was 10 years younger, and you know, don't joke about getting old, but you know, I do feel it now. If I do 10 hours, I do feel it now. And the problem is as well, is like, I think because people were sort of more geared up to it when I was doing it regularly. It was people were smoking in the club as well, so there wasn't a sort of like constant influx of people going in and out. Therefore, it was easier to sort of like hold on to their attention, and you were able to sort of like go, you know, which wasn't always, you know, about escalating. You could be going sort of sideways, left and right, and sort of all over the place. And they knew that wherever you went, that was going to be part of the final story, kind of thing. Whereas now, I do tend to find that if you do sort of go a bit sort of more left field and a bit more kind of trips out for a while, you can sort of start to lose people to the smoking room. So it makes it a bit more frustrating to me, really. It's not as much fun as it used to be. So I do still do long sets, but I much prefer doing it sort of like 5 hours, 6 hours maximum.
Okay.
And if it's a really, really good night, maybe extending it to sort of 7 or maybe 8. But having that sort of thing laid out where you're doing a minimum 10 hours, like I was doing in Montreal, it just doesn't work for me anymore, because, you know, it's just harder than it used to be. I don't know, maybe I had more patience then as well. You know, certain times I'm playing, it's like, I want to play that tune pretty soon. I want to play that tune, but I don't want to wait sort of another 6 hours to play it.
Sure.
So maybe my patience isn't what it used to be either. But I think people don't really sort of appreciate it, or they're not really as aware of it as they used to be. Whereas now, you know, if you look at the sort of like the mass, the bulk of the clubbers, really, I mean, you see people on Twitter, they say, "Oh, playing a long set tonight, 2 hours."
Yeah.
You know, where'd that come from?
Yeah, it's like the generation that just came into EDM. It's like the attention span just shrunk.
Yeah,
you know,
it seems like everything's went like this, and like nowadays, you know, anything over 2 hours is considered a marathon.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, all right.
Dig deeper. Your label. How did that all come about?
Well, it came about. I mean, really, it was an extension from the night. Really, because I started doing the nights a long time ago when I was touring America quite a bit, and getting a bit frustrated with like the short sets and you know, just sort of like turning up for 90 minutes. So that was kind of came out, it was an outlet for me to sort of just do the open till close thing. And then so then the label sort of emerged when really I kind of, for some reason, suddenly got really productive with producing. Suddenly I found myself like making a lot of music. I hadn't done much music in years, and you know, and suddenly at this point I had like 3-4 tracks on the go constantly. So I was finishing, you know, like maybe sort of 4 tracks a month, 5 or even more, maybe like 5 to 6 tracks a month, and didn't really sort of like have the confidence to sort of start sending them out to people and saying, "Oh, what do you think of this? Can you check it out?" Because, you know, you just, I don't know, it's just nice to sort of go with that feeling, and rather than have, you know, a really good feeling about a track and then somebody come back to you and say, "No, I don't like it." So what I decided to do, well, you know, it'd be a good time to have a label. This way I can release things as I want, when I want, and not be sort of frightened of someone telling you it's shit. Because if it is shit, well, I'm sure, you know, I'll work that out for myself, you know, later on down the line, and I do. But yeah, that's the reason for that. So I had a very, very productive period, and I was able to sort of like release very regularly. And but then I think I went through a period when I suddenly lost that role. I mean, there's a number of reasons, but one of them was like my old computer died, and it sounds so petty. But then you know, I'd gone from like sort of like constantly like waking up in the morning, switching on Logic and fiddling about, to having to spend like sort of 3 months trying to get everything working again, because suddenly nothing worked. It was like, oh no, it was such a pain in the arse. And then there was all these bugs in my Logic, and there was just things that kept crashing the entire computer. So never quite got it back after that. So I'm working on that. I'm trying to sort of get it back at some point soon.
Okay.
But for the moment, I'm still releasing stuff, not as frequently, but from other artists. And
that's the next question. Is there anybody that's up and coming on the label that you're looking to maybe break, or some up and coming new talent that you might know about that we don't?
Well, the last release, the last two releases. One previous was from Moskito, who's obviously like a very established sort of techno producer, who's been around for forever. Mm-hmm. Then the latest release is a 4-track EP from Eddie Nigel.
Yep.
And
just heard that, actually. Very good work.
It's really good. It's brilliant. I mean, each track on there's, I think, incredible, and it's a lot of support from like DJs like D-Tron, quite across the board. A lot of guys have been really into it. Very cool, sort of melodic, kind of techno kind of thing. And so yeah, I'm hoping to be doing more with him in the future. And then the next one is a guy called Mr. Senzo. He's the sort of opposite, really. It's a 3-track deep house EP, which is, again, I'm playing it regularly. Mm-hmm. It's really getting sounding amazing. And then a couple of tracks from Andreas Sarg, who's done some remixes for the label before. Who's done one down tempo track, which has got a really cool house mix with Pete Moss, and then another track which is much more kind of like funky, sort of really stripped down disco filtered kind of thing. But and then after that, something else. What it is? A few bits lined up anyway.
Okay, cool. Well, looking forward to that. I guess going back to like the early days of your career, who would you say you looked up to most as like an influential person? Like obviously there's John, but it doesn't even have to be a DJ, but somebody musically. Like you mentioned Bowie, you mentioned like some of the early electronic influences. Who would you say was the most influential in your career growing up?
Throughout, or just just a person?
Yeah, just a person, somebody who you maybe looked up to.
Well, I think big people that kind of just really didn't really care about what they were expected to do. They just kind of did what they felt was coming from their heart. Mm-hmm. And that's people like Miles Davis, I suppose, and people like Neil Young. Yes. Who I think, I'm a big fan of both those. Well, Bowie as well. But I think Bowie's been kind of more accepted throughout the years, whereas Miles Davis and Neil Young, I mean, they're two artists that I think, especially at their peak, they really confused their fan base. They would do something and then they'd be expected to follow it, and they didn't do that. They just did something which they felt was, and not really 2 fingers up, but it kind of like gave them, at the end of the day, a longevity that not many other people could compete with. Not knowing what they were going to do next. And Miles Davis's case, that still continues to this day. You never know what he's going to do next. And I think his colleagues and his fans, often very frustrated, but it just means that you're sort of still there, like all these years later. Sort of. For people like that, definitely. I mean, just in terms of what they do and the way they do it, and they just really focus on
being different.
Not really being different for the sake of being different, but just being different because that's what they want to do at that particular time. Yeah. I think that's great.
I think that reflects in your sets, first and foremost, because every time I've heard you, it's like you're across the board. I mean, like, whatever the feeling of the room is, you can change it. You do change it, like, on the fly, and it works well. I mean, you can be playing a progressive track that will work well into a deep track, into a tech track, and you seamlessly blend that together in your sets, especially when you're playing a longer set, I find. Last time I heard you when you were in Toronto, you played a footwork, and it was for an extended set, and I think you must have ran the gauntlet of genres, like up and down, but it worked. And it's like you say, like guys like Neil Young, I mean, they come out with something from, a record or like just a single or release, and then the next thing they do is completely different, but it works.
I've never compare myself to those guys. I mean, the only thing that I think I do have in common with those guys is the fact that I'm not really scared of alienating people. I think there's 2 ways you can sort of move. You can either sort of like spend your entire life trying to sort of keep everybody happy, or like I could be playing stuff that I was playing 10 years ago, and I get a lot of requests on places like Facebook. Oh, you're coming into town tonight, can we hear some stuff from like the old days? I'm like, well, I might go and throw an old track if I feel like playing an old track, but I'm not going to go and play like a bunch of old tracks because you're missing the old days. It's like, well, in 10 years time I'm going to be missing these days. Yeah, sure, these are great days too, and you're not going to constantly live in the past. And I think I think people go, oh yeah, you change your style throughout the years, but I'm like, well, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to sort of stay in one place, and I think some people like you doing that. Some people don't ever change. I mean, without being respectful, but if I look at the trance music that I hear today compared to the trance music I heard in the 90s, I can't hear any change in that at all. So I wouldn't want to be a trance DJ playing the same sound for 20 years. So I think that it's like, I can't think of anything more boring. So
yeah, it's true.
It's definitely, I know I alienate people because you don't play it super safe all the time, but it's like, well, if you alienate them, they're not really worth holding on to anyway, so sorry. And I'd rather have a much smaller crowd, which is what I've got, than have a bigger crowd where I'm just sort of like not really doing what I feel anyway. So
yeah, and it will reflect in your sets, it reflects in your work and your mindset too. I mean, if you're doing the same thing week in and week out and having to play the same music, you get bored with your craft.
You do, yeah, you do, absolutely.
Same thing happened to me as a DJ. I mean, I was playing a lot of the same stuff, and like you say, the requests keep coming. You have to play these tracks because they're the bombs and they're what people want to hear. But you know, it just becomes monotonous because you're getting paid to really play the same thing over and over again. Like I hear what you're saying, dude. If you could, I guess, from a DJ's perspective, obviously you must have some favorites going through the years. If you were to say one night you could hear anybody in the world, who would be the one DJ that you'd want to hear if you had the night off?
Oh God. Well, yeah, I think I've never. Not since '91. Last time I heard Harvey in the club was '91.
Okay.
And I would really love to hear him again, properly. You know, really properly. And I missed him when he was in London recently, and he's one that I'd really love to hear.
He actually just got Billboard. What was it? Was it Billboard or? Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone magazine did the top 10 DJs or top 20 DJs in the world, and he was ranked like the top 10 on there.
He was, yeah. That was interesting actually. I mean, I'd love to hear him properly. Living or Dead, or Mancuso. I mean, I'd love to have heard Mancuso back in the early '70s.
Okay, yeah. So Dead and then Living.
He's alive still, isn't he? Levan. I mean, I'd also, obviously Levan. I'd love to have heard Levan.
Yes.
But sort of like in the sort of late '70s. Mancuso in the early '70s, and then I still rate my favourite clubbing experience ever was not in a club. It was in like a tiny little warehouse in Manhattan, and it was the weekend that Twilo closed down, and I was booked to play with Tenaglia. Then we found out that they were closed, and it was like, okay, well, we've still got the flight, so we'll come to New York anyway and see what happens. So what we ended up doing was I did a loft party. Well, Danny did his own one, sort of like around the corner. So his one ran from midnight until midnight. So I did my party, I went straight over to his, and they were literally, I mean, I think at the peak, 120 people. And but then gradually throughout the night it was kind of like 40 people, 30 people, and that for me rates as like one of the most educational nights I ever had. You know, I got there at 4, so it finished at midnight, so I was there for 20 hours, give or take, and it was, it's insane. I mean, I've never heard every style of music in one set, and he kind of was maybe doing that David Mancuso thing where he wasn't really sort of mixing everything, but he was kind of letting a lot of tracks kind of run out, then another one would come in, but from like sort of like Motown, Pink Floyd, house music, old house music, new house music, techno, Latin music, just everything going back to even some stuff from the 60s, early 60s, I reckon. Everything was in there. And it was the best, experience I had, and so I'd love to have something like that again as well. Cool. He's got a great record box. Rather than hearing him do a straight up house set, hearing him span, his entire range of influences and history. At which point we are now at the airport. Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's been an amazing evening, and
thank you guys for me as well. And the spot, I think the club is really cool. After hours vibe is definitely, it's got it there.
Alive and well into you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being our 1 year anniversary guest.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
And we're here arriving. Where are you heading next?
I'm off to Boston now. Final day. Yeah. I also apologise. I'm not very coherent this morning. So I just got out of bed and I'm feeling really bunged up. But
I think it was great. I think it was fantastic.
Can you use subtitles at the bottom? No one understands my English accent anyway, so sod it. Hey, look. Next time. Oh man.
Okay, Danny.
I'll take my Apple call with me. Finish it later on.
One little podcast with Danny Howells, ladies and gentlemen.
See you later, guys.
All right, I'll help you out, man.
Good. Mic check 1 2 1 2. I got 5 on it. Oh shit. I've embarrassed the man. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with hometown local homeboy DJ Daniel Dubb. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, people?
We seem to be here for the White Label Podcast 1 year anniversary. I'm happy to have you on board, bro. We have Danny Howells upstairs, who's currently ripping on the Alpha Dynacord sound system. You got a relationship with this man that lasted a while, bro. How did that all come about?
It actually came about through Lee Burridge. He was here, he was taking some time here. We did a couple tracks in the studio together, and he actually got me in touch with Danny because he thought that our styles would work together. So he gave me the intro, and then Danny was doing a compilation, and he asked me if I was interested in doing a remix for the comp. So I gave it a go, and he really liked it, and that's sort of how it started, and then it's just kind of progressed from there.
I noticed that also last week you played at Maison, and you opened for Lawler, and you guys have a relationship as well. How did that marriage come about?
That actually came about through Sean Miller, who's another great DJ from Toronto. I met Steve through him, and we played together at BPM back in 2010. And he just really liked sort of how I opened the room for him, so we developed a relationship from that. And then I opened for him in Miami for WMC a couple times, and odd ins and outs throughout Canada as well. So just kind of gelled, so that's kind of how that came about, yeah.
Hey, you mentioned Sean. I know you guys had the, I'd say one of the biggest house tracks of the year in 2011 was Simmerman, and now you're charting top 5 with I Got 5 on it, and the Beatport, I guess it's the Tech House chart, or is it the Deep chart? Deep House chart. What's coming up next for you in the studio?
Well, the next release is actually coming out in a couple weeks, and that's going to be with Danny Howells as well as Maher Daniel from Montreal. We're actually doing the releases 6 tracks, collaborations with those two, as well as a bunch of my original stuff. And it's actually for all the money that we make from the release is going to go for breast cancer research.
Cool.
So yeah, I had someone close to me who struggled with that earlier in the year, and it just seemed appropriate, and all the tracks are kind of really uplifting, like funky disco house almost, so it just seemed kind of appropriate to do, and I don't know, it's something I believe in, so yeah.
You mentioned Montreal. I noticed that you're bringing the label DV8 into Montreal. How's that going?
It's going really well, actually. I played a couple parties with some guys down there, and really incredible DJs, and really good, just they know how to throw parties down there. So we did a couple parties, and it really worked out well, and they're on the label as well. They're called Into Deep. They just did a remix on one of my releases, and yeah, it just really gelled with them. So it just seemed appropriate, and they really like what I'm about, and so we all get each other. So it just seemed like the next appropriate step for me playing more consistently with Montreal.
How did the label come about? How did you develop DV8?
DV8 actually came about just because, you know, I was tired of always having to sort of cater to, like, you know, certain DJs for their labels and stuff. I always had to do certain tweaks and stuff like that that were kind of fitting for them. But DV8, I can actually just focus on all my own, like, strictly my own criticism and what I feel is right. So it just kind of came about, and I started releasing the music, and I'm really happy with how it's done so far.
Anybody you want to break forthcoming on the label, or anything? Anybody you're looking to sign, or anybody that's up and coming?
Up and coming, like I said, the Into Deep guys from Montreal, they're doing really cool deep house stuff right now. As for other people on the label, I'm looking into some people right now. I'm not going to name names yet, but I'm trying to get some. No, I can't. But I'm trying to lock some people in for the next year. So,
production-wise, what can we expect from you in the coming months?
A continuation of a lot of DV8 releases. I got some original material as well as a couple classic tunes that we're in the works of clearing rights for right now to do remixes for. So yeah, for the next 6 months, it's pretty much going to be all DV8 releases.
I guess we haven't checked this man out in the decks yet. He's about to go on after Danny. We're going to get your set. We're going to check it out. So how can people keep in touch with you? Facebook, Twitter, what's your handles, bro?
Yeah, it's pretty much mainly Facebook and Twitter. I have websites, but you can check those out at DanielDubb.com and also deviatesound.com. But Twitter and Facebook are the ones that I do the most activity on, so those are probably the ones to follow if you want a real in-depth analysis on what's going on with me.
Any shout-outs, brother?
There's a fucking Danny Howells upstairs right now.
And we'll check that out shortly, and we'll check you out shortly. And congrats on all your success, congrats on the label, and we look forward to seeing what's coming out in the near future, bro. Daniel Dubb, ladies and gentlemen.
too long that I can't do without you. Hey, hey, my love for you makes all no lies seem true. Stay way too long that I can't do without you.